Hi everyone, welcome back to Faye in Stories. Imagine you're deep in the frozen Ural Mountain of Soviet Russia. 9 experienced hikers vanish. When they're found, weeks later, it's horrifying. Their tent, torn open from the inside. Their bodies, scattered in the snow, some half naked, some crushed. One with no tongue, one with no eyes. Radiation on their clothes. And no one, not even the Soviet government, has ever explained why.
Torn from the inside? Naked? Radiation? What kind of horror movie is this?
It's not a movie. It's one of the most chilling real-life mysteries in modern history. Today, we're diving into the Dyatlov Pass Incident, and it might just be the most unsolvable case you've never heard of. On January 27, 1959, 10 hikers set off on a ski trek into the northern Ural Mountain. All were students or graduates of the Ural Polytechnical Institute. Most were in their early 20s, tough, experienced, confident. But only 9 would continue past the initial village. One, Yuri Yudin, fell ill and turned back, unintentionally saving his life.
So he was the only survivor because he didn't go?
Exactly. The remaining 9, led by 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov, headed into the mountain. Their goal? Reach Otorten, a peak whose name ominously means "don't go there" in the local Mansi language.
That's not the kind of name that inspires confidence.
It gets creepier. Their last known camp was on a slope of a mountain called Kholat Sayakal, translated as Dead Mountain. That's where they set up their final tent on February 1st. They were never seen alive again.
Dead Mountain. Don't go there. What could go wrong?
Weeks later, when they didn't return, a search party was sent. What they found has puzzled investigators, scientists, and conspiracy theorists for over 60 years. The tent was still upright, but half collapsed. Inside, sleeping bags were laid out neatly. Shoes were still placed by the entrance. One hiker had even begun to write in a journal. But the tent fabric had been violently slashed from the inside, as if someone had clawed their way out in a panic. Footprints, barefoot in deep snow, led away. Some prints showed walking, others were running. They stretched for nearly 500 meters before vanishing into the forest. 2 bodies were found near a cedar tree, 3 more halfway between the tree and the tent. The last 4 weren't found until spring thaw, buried in a ravine.
What could terrify them so badly?
That's the question. And the answers? Well, none of them explain everything. Let's walk through what happened to each of the hikers, because the details are where the mystery really starts. 2 bodies, Krivonishenko and Doroshenko, were found under a cedar tree. They had no shoes, in their underwear. Their hands were covered in burns, and their skin was torn, probably from climbing the tree, as if trying to escape or look for something.
Burns? How do you get burns in the middle of a snowstorm?
Yes, exactly. Some speculate they were trying to ignite branches for warmth, or were exposed to some kind of blast. But nothing nearby showed signs of fire. 3 more were found between the tree and the tent. Igor Dyatlov, Zenaida, and Rustam. All looked like they were trying to crawl back. Their bodies had no major external injuries, but their faces were frozen in expressions of terror. One had a broken nose, another had a twisted neck. Then, the most disturbing part.
The ravine group?
Yep. 2 months later, the last 4 bodies were found in a ravine. They'd built a crude shelter, but they weren't just dead, they were mangled. One of the hiker, Ludmila Dubinina, was missing her tongue, her eyes, and part of her lips. Her chest had been crushed so severely the ribcage looked as if it had been compressed by extreme force from the inside. The autopsy noted no external bruising, suggesting a shockwave impact. Another hiker, the eldest, also had shattered ribs and was missing an eyeball. Oddly, he was wearing 2 watches and had a camera slung across his neck. No photos were recovered from that roll.
That's not a normal fall. That's something violent.
And here's the final twist. Some of their clothes were radioactive. Not extremely, but significantly above background levels. Enough to be flagged and questioned.
So, they fled something. Died in different ways.
Exactly. It's not one explanation, it's multiple anomalies, none of which make sense together. That's what makes this case so addictive. Every time someone tries to solve it, new contradictions pop up. Also, here's where things get strange. The official investigation files say the Dyatlov Pass case was opened on February 6th.
But didn't the families file the missing report on February 20th?
Exactly. Which means the case started 2 weeks before anyone even knew something was wrong.
That's impossible. unless someone already knew.
And this is why some people believe the hikers walked right into a military experiment zone.
I can see why people obsess over this. It's like the ultimate cold case. Literally.
And we haven't even gotten to the theories yet. This is the official theory. In 2019, Russian prosecutors reopened the case and concluded the hikers died in an avalanche. They claimed a slab of snow fell on their tent, forcing them to escape in a panic.
That could explain the tent being ripped from the inside, right?
Possibly, but here's where it falls apart. There was no physical evidence of an avalanche, no snow deposits, no signs of the kind of force that would crush bodies, and the hikers' footprints were still visible for hundreds of meters.
If a real avalanche hit, the snow would have buried everything.
Exactly. The slope angle was also too shallow for a real avalanche, and experienced hikers like Dyatlov's team would never camp somewhere avalanche-prone. So the official theory feels like a convenient cover-up. This one's more scientific. It suggests a phenomenon called infrasound, low-frequency sound waves that humans can't hear but can feel. When wind blows across a mountain at the right angle, it can create a Kármán vortex street, generating infrasound that triggers irrational fear, nausea, and even hallucinations.
So they were basically driven mad by invisible sound?
That's the idea. They panicked, fled the tent, and disoriented, died in the cold. It explains why the tent was torn and why they ran, but not the physical injuries or the radiation.
So it's half plausible and half useless.
Exactly. Here's where the conspiracy theories heat up. Some believe the hikers stumbled into a Soviet weapons test zone, possibly parachute mines or chemical dispersal tests.
That could explain the radiation, right?
Yes, and the blunt force trauma without external wounds matches what happens when people are caught in shockwaves, like those from a mine blast. Plus, eyewitnesses claim to see orange orbs in the sky that night.
And the government response? Was it suspicious?
Absolutely. Key documents were classified, the area was closed for years, the case was quietly dropped, and the vague conclusion, a compelling natural force.
So, a Soviet cover-up?
That's what many believe. Maybe they tested something they weren't supposed to, and the hikers became collateral damage. Some believe the group was exposed to radioactive contamination from nearby nuclear facilities or military materials, not from a weapon test, but possibly from carrying contaminated gear.
Why would students carry radioactive stuff?
Good question. One theory is that some of them, particularly Semyon Zolotaryov, were connected to military intelligence. He joined the group last minute and had a suspicious background.
So maybe this wasn't a hiking trip. Maybe it was a covert operation?
Or maybe they witnessed something they shouldn't have and paid the price. This one's wild. The hike was actually a KGB mission. Some members were said to be couriers tasked with delivering fake nuclear data to CIA contacts in the wilderness.
That sounds like a spy thriller.
Exactly. The idea is that they were tracked by Soviet counterintelligence and eliminated. It would explain the radiation, the surgical removal of eyes and tongue, and why no one was ever held responsible.
But 9 people, they took out their own agents?
In the Cold War, the rules were different. If they suspected defection, mercy wasn't on the table. Now we come to one of the most infamous theories, the Yeti. Some believe a cryptid, an unknown creature, attacked them. The evidence? A blurry photo found on the hiker's last roll of film of what looks like a tall, humanoid figure in the woods.
Serious? A Yeti?
Hey, it's not the most absurd theory. Some bodies had injuries too severe to be explained by a fight among themselves. And locals from the Mansi tribe told stories about a creature that roamed those peaks.
Still, no tracks, no hair, no proof.
True, but as a psychological metaphor, it represents the fear of something primal, something that lives where no human should. Now we're going full X-Files. Remember those orange orbs in the sky reported by nearby hikers? Some believe the group encountered a UFO or otherworldly entity.
So, aliens.
Or energy phenomena. Some theorists tie this to electromagnetic bursts that could trigger hallucinations, burns, and even tissue damage.
And the missing tongue and eyes?
Classic abduction tropes. There's even a theory that time was distorted, that the group was caught in some kind of space-time anomaly.
That's insane, but also kind of fascinating.
Let's end on something human. Maybe there was no Yeti, no aliens, no KGB. Maybe the cold, isolation, and stress caused a mental breakdown in one or more members.
So, someone snapped?
Yes, some speculate an internal conflict led to a murder-suicide scenario, or that a psychotic break caused them to flee the tent irrationally.
That would explain the panic. But the injuries?
Still hard to justify. Blunt force trauma without bruising is rare, and the radiation doesn't fit.
So even the most logical theory doesn't tie up all the loose ends.
And that's exactly why this case still haunts people. After the bodies were found, the Soviet authorities opened an investigation. But from the start, things felt off. For one, the lead investigator, Lev Ivanov, was pressured to wrap things up quickly. The cause of death was listed vaguely, a compelling natural force. Translate as a spontaneous force that the hikers could not overcome. No mention of injuries, no cause listed for individual deaths, just one abstract phrase, like they didn't want to dig deeper.
That could mean anything. Avalanche, explosion, demon, alien.
Exactly. And while autopsies showed missing eyes, crushed ribs, and signs of radiation, those parts were quietly omitted from the final public report. Witnesses were told to keep quiet, journalists were discouraged, and the area around Dyatlov Pass was sealed off by the military for over 3 years.
So the whole thing was swept under the rug.
Pretty much. Even Lev Ivanov himself later admitted he believed it might have been a UFO encounter. But he said he was ordered not to mention it in the official report.
That's wild. The investigator thought it was aliens?
He didn't say aliens outright, but something beyond known science. That's not normal language for a Soviet bureaucrat. So, what do we make of all this? 9 people, strong, experienced, well-prepared, flee their tent in terror, in sub-zero temperatures. Some freeze, some are crushed, some mutilated, some irradiated.
And every explanation leaves gaps.
Avalanche? No snow debris. Military test? No known records. Madness? Too organized. Yeti? No physical trace. Aliens? No definitive signs. Internal conflict? Doesn't explain the injuries. Spy games? Possible, but unproven.
Maybe there's no answer.
Or maybe the answer is something we're not ready to accept. Something outside our known science. Something that doesn't fit in our boxes. Something we fear because we can't explain it. Maybe they saw something, and it saw them back.
That's what makes it so terrifying. Not knowing what killed them, and realizing it might still be out there.
And what if it wasn't the first time, or the last? So, what do you believe? Are you Team Avalanche? Team Soviet cover-up? Team Alien Encounter? Or do you think something darker, something unexplainable, claimed their lives?
Drop your theory in the comments. We're gonna read them all. Seriously, this is the kind of mystery that only gets better the more minds dig into it.
And who knows? Maybe one day, someone will uncover the missing piece. Until then, the Dyatlov Pass remains frozen in time, a mystery carved into the snow and the silence.